Main Street programs often focus heavily on events. While events are important, there is a bigger picture to keep in mind. How we activate public spaces in ways that last well beyond a single weekend. That's where placemaking and programming come in. In this video, we'll look at how these two approaches work together to create a downtown that feels welcoming, alive, and rooted in community. We'll also explore what it takes to create truly effective public spaces, one that people choose to return to again and again. What is placemaking? Placemaking is about creating spaces that people want to spend time in, not just pass through. It's a design-informed, community-centered approach that asks a simple but critical question. Does this place invite people to stop, stay, and connect? Effective public spaces are difficult to achieve because their complexity is rarely understood. Urbanist William White famously noted, "It's hard to design a space that will not attract people." What is remarkable is how often this has been accomplished. In other words, it's easy to miss the mark when you treat public spaces as simply design problem, instead of a people-centered opportunity. Good placemaking isn't about large-scale capital projects. It can start with small, thoughtful improvements. Benches placed in the right spots, planters that soften the edge of a sidewalk, murals that reflect the culture of the neighborhood, or lighting that makes the space feel safe and comfortable at night. These kinds of low-cost, high-impact changes are the foundation of tactical urbanism, an approach that uses temporary or small-scale interventions to test ideas, engage the community, and build momentum for long-term improvements. Together, they signal to residents and visitors that the district belongs to them and that it's worth caring about. As an example, Frederick, Maryland transformed its floodplain into Carroll Creek Linear Park, adding walkways, water features, and public art. What began as an infrastructure-related project to control flooding evolved into one of the city's most vibrant gathering places. The placemaking movement, shaped in part by the work of Project for Public Spaces, encourages us to view public space not as a finished product, but as an evolving environment. Their work emphasizes that the community is the expert. Residents bring history, context, and insight that can't be replicated by outside consultants. When you design with the community rather than for it, you foster ownership, and with ownership comes care. What is programming? While placemaking shapes the stage, programming brings it to life. Programming is about what happens in a space, whether it's a farmer's market, a First Friday event, an outdoor movie night, or a mural unveiling. These are the experiences that generate energy and invite people to return. Well-run programs do more than entertain. They support small businesses, increase foot traffic, and elevate the visibility of your main street. But programming alone cannot transform a district. A festival may draw a crowd, but if the surrounding streetscape is underwhelming or inaccessible, few people will linger, and even fewer will come back the following week. Easton, Maryland offers a strong example of balance. Their seasonal events, like the Chesapeake Fire and Ice Festival and First Friday Gallery Walks, bring people downtown regularly. But what supports their success is the environment. Pedestrian-friendly streets, art, lighting, and seating that make the district enjoyable whether or not there's an event happening. How they work together. Placemaking and programming should never be viewed as competing priorities. They are mutually reinforcing. A good space invites activity, and good activity helps reinforce the identity of the space. Imagine planning an outdoor concert series without considering whether people have somewhere to sit, use the restroom, or find shade. Now, imagine investing in a beautiful plaza and then never scheduling an event or activities there. In both cases, something is missing. You need both the container and the content, and both should be shaped by your district's transformation strategy. Start by noticing where people already gather, where they avoid, and what businesses are saying they need. Talk to residents and observe how the public realm is used, or not used, at different times of the day and week. Sometimes, the smallest improvements lead to the biggest change. A well-placed bench, a temporary food cart, or a string of lights across a vacant lot can transform how people interact with the space. And when these physical changes are paired with activity, like a sidewalk chalk day or a pop-up performance, you've set the stage for ongoing community connection. The value of experimentation. One of the most powerful lessons in placemaking is that you don't need to get everything perfect the first time. In fact, some of the best public space improvements come from testing ideas and adjusting them based on real-world feedback. Small-scale experiments can reveal what people want, how spaces are used, and what changes are worth making permanent. A great example of this comes from Chestertown, Maryland. When the town reseeded the park that typically hosted its weekly farmers market, organizers temporarily relocated vendors to a nearby street that was closed off for the occasion. Something unexpected happened. The new layout created more space, allowed for additional vendors, and offered a better overall experience for shoppers. When it came time to move the market back, the community saw the benefit of the street closure and decided to keep experimenting. Today, the farmers market continues to thrive in its new street-based location, drawing more vendors and foot traffic than ever before. This kind of flexible, responsive approach to placemaking, sometimes called lighter, quicker, cheaper, lets you test ideas without a major investment. Whether it's piloting a pop-up park, closing a block to cars for a weekend event, or shifting vendor locations temporarily, experimentation can help you discover what works before committing to a long-term plan. It also sends a strong message to the community. This district is alive, adaptable, and open to improvement. Common pitfalls. One of the biggest mistakes Main Street programs make is putting all their energy into events without improving the environment. Events may generate short-term excitement, but if the physical space feels neglected, the energy doesn't stick. A beautifully designed pocket park can sit empty if no one is invited to use it, and features like sitting or lighting lose their impact if they're not maintained. Truly successful programs plan for both. They build relationships with city departments, engage community partners, and develop realistic strategies for long-term upkeep and shared use. In closing, placemaking and programming work best when they're connected to the people they serve. They create the conditions for a Main Street district to be more than a shopping destination. They create places where people feel like they belong. This month, take a walk through your district. Notice where people gather and where they don't. Ask yourself what small changes could improve those spaces, and what kinds of programming might invite people to use them in new ways. Start small and be open to learning from observation, feedback, and experimentation.